Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Beep Boop 3 Create a Web App with Data and ML. This is the third one in our now 8-part Beep Boop series. Before we start, just a few quick things to go over. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We ask that you be kind and respectful to everyone, including our speakers. We want the Reactor to be a place where everybody feels welcome. Please ask questions using the YouTube or Twitch chat. In the chat, I'll be sharing some links to the Reactor Meetup page and monthly newsletter if you're interested in checking out what other sessions we have coming up. If you haven't done so already, please check into this event. I'll share the link again in the chat momentarily. This will give you some links that go along with today's content. Today's session will be added to the Reactor YouTube channel in 24 to 48 hours. And finally, I'll share a link to the Reactor survey. And if you have a few minutes, we appreciate your feedback. I will now pass it over to Chloe and Ornella.
Beep Boop's back. All right. Hi, everyone. I told Ornella I know how to start the stream today. Just take my lead. Figured we'd start with some BSB, you know, get us beeping and booping. How are you doing, Ornella?
Doing well. Yeah, just the highlight of every Tuesday, you know?
Yeah, Beep Boop's back. If you've never joined us before, oh, I'm sorry, Beep Boop's back. All right. If you've never joined us before, we come here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. PST, and we learn about AI and ML live in the open. We're fearless. We don't know a lot about this, and we are learning with the free resources provided to us by Microsoft Learn. Ornella, I have something really exciting to share. Did you do anything cool over the weekend? How was your weekend, first of all?
What did I do over the weekend? I went on a really long walk with Frank, who will make an appearance later, as promised.
We can't peak too early. We can't bring Frank on in the first 5. Like, we got to take it Take it
If
easy.
you want to see Franklin in a turtleneck, you're going to have to wait.
Yeah. But it will happen. And if you've never met Frank, he is the mascot of the show. Franklin the dog makes a cameo every stream. So you went on a Franklin adventure.
Yeah. What about you? What's the exciting thing? I need to know.
Oh, yes. Well, I was talking about you. Good things. I was talking about all of us, everybody here on the stream, because I gave a little talk about AI and ML. Bit Project had this event on Sunday, and I gave a little talk about how I got started with AI and ML, which we talked about in the first episode. You can go back and watch that up, where I talked all about how I could have used these tools to like sort magic towels at the Disney store and all these retail jobs I could have like done it with. And of course, talked about my favorite movie, AI, starring Haley Joel Osment. But you can check that out at aka.ms/beep-boop-bit. For Bit Project. And you can check out that video. It's just a very cute, short and sweet 20-minute video where I talk all about how I got started with AI and ML. Because as we've mentioned on this show before, Ornella, we don't have any like super extensive experience in this. We're truly learning along with our audience.
Yes,
isn't that right?
This is a prereq free zone. And we usually like have some tidbits from previous episodes that follow us to the next one, but we will always catch everyone up so that you can follow along. It's a standalone show, or you can join us for all of them, whatever floats your boat.
Think of it kind of like office hours, except there's a dog, and I'm wearing a share shirt. And we want it to be very cozy and relaxed and just like a very safe environment for people to ask questions. But we've been playing with Space Jam data. We'll do a little previously on Beep Boop here in a sec. I'm trying to think. Oh, we have a couple housekeeping things real quick. First of all, shout us out in the chat if you're a Microsoft Student Ambassador joining us today. Tell us where you're joining us from in general. We'd love to know what brings you here. Do you know anything about AI/ML? Are you scared of AI/ML?
What you want to see more of, if you think these modules are cool, if you want to do a different module. We just got renewed for season 2 of Beep Boop. That's going to be happening in September. We also always have an air horn sound. It's very important to our stream. So season 2 of Beep Boop, we're going to be covering slightly different information. But if you want us to do, any requests, we're here for you. So let us know.
And we also have, I'll share my screen again here to show them off. We've been doing these little recap summaries. So if you watch the show and then you're like, you know what, I missed that one part. Oh my gosh, don't worry, we got you. We break down the whole series here. We've got this great these Dev 2 summary posts that have the video in here. It's time stamped with all the different links to things we talk about. So if you just want to follow along and not code along with us this time, you can go back later. Super easy. You can go to aka.ms/beepboop-replay. We also put it in the chat. Perfect. But yeah, this has a whole summary of like all the fun shenanigans that we've had. You can check out Frank the dog. We also have, we highlight the important things in these summaries. Like Frank pops in to tell us what he thinks about AI/ML. Look at that.
There he is.
Very meta. But yeah, check out those before the stream, after the stream, if you want to follow along, if you missed any episodes. But should we do a quick little previously on Beep Boop?
Sure.
Okay, previously on Beep Boop.
Previously on Beep Boop. So should I share my screen? Let me share my screen. I can show off the data that we worked on. So
we've got people in the chat here. We've got people who are upset we're teasing about Frank. We got to bring Frank. Frank will make a cameo. I saw the sweater he's wearing. We got Toronto learning on my own. Welcome, Jasmine. So fun. Welcome. Well, you're not alone. You're with us. And Frank. We're all learning together here.
Hello to Gerald.
Sarah is joining us from Target, my favorite place in the world, because she needs more Legos but couldn't miss Beep Boop. We appreciate you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Sarah actually authored this Learn module, so thank you for that. All right.
We have some new friends, some more new friends. Hello.
Hello. We're so excited to have you here. We truly, and this, like we have said on previous streams, a lot of what we decide to talk about, go deeper into, is a lot based off of your questions. So pop your questions in the chat, add your comments in the chat. We learned a lot last week from Seth and Sarah, and I loved that because I had a lot of questions about filling in missing data and accurate data. We were having a good time. All right. Okay. But previously on Beep Boop.
So previously on Beep Boop, we essentially did the first step to any machine learning project, which was accessing a data set. So in order to do something with machine learning, which is, you have a question that you want to answer, you need to have some set of data that you're working with that will be able to introduce machine learning models to, answer those questions. So what we did was we had this data that came in this CSV format, which is a comma separated, CSV stands for comma separated values. And so we have this kind of kooky thing that's really difficult to understand and look at. We brought it into a Python notebook and we did a lot of manipulation to it there were some empty values in the table. There were some things that needed filling in. We actually created a machine learning model to fill in some of those values, which was really cool. So a little bit meta.
Ooh, I think I got raided on Twitch. Welcome everyone who's joining us in the raid. Should we? Yeah, welcome. We're just going over what we were doing last week. Welcome to Beep Boop, y'all.
So yeah, and then at the end of last session, we had this fully filled out data frame, which is a data structure that we use in the Pandas notebook or the Pandas library inside of Python notebook. So we took all that data and we saved it to a new comma separated value file in our little folder here. And if you don't have this, I'm going to teach everyone from the start how to, set up VS Code, get all the Python stuff set up and import this data. So even if you didn't join us for the last two sessions, no problem at all. But yeah, that's what we've been working on for the past two.
And the data that we're using, we mentioned this briefly before, is Space Jam data. And this whole module is Space Jam New Legacy, a reimagining themed. So we're checking out all the data of what I believe we determined last week was Toon Squad and human players.
Yep. So we had two different populations represented in our data set. And they were, the human players, like LeBron James is in there. And then the Toon Squad players. So Daffy Duck.
Yeah, Tweety Bird,
all those
Porky Pig, who I believe raps in this new movie. Exciting stuff. So, okay, last week I remember we left off cleaning all the data. So we got all our data in a clean set, clean arrangement, so to speak. And then we also used machine learning to determine some of the missing values in our data, which I was not expecting to do machine learning before we got all the data. That was very Inception ML.
Yeah. So in this segment, we're going to create a web app, which is, something one of the ways that you can surface all of your data and make it useful to folks. And we're going to use the data set that we had last time to make decisions on the basketball court. So we're going to use the data to make these decisions, and it'll have some ML thrown in there. We're going to use Azure Static Web Apps. We're going to use GitHub Actions, and we're going to use some JavaScript to write the web app. So a lot of new technologies coming at you, but we'll make them as easy as possible. And we're here to answer all of your questions.
Yes. Thank you, True, for the raid. So excited to have you all here. And we have a quick question. Have you considered using Rainbow CSV in VS Code? Makes CSV easier to look at.
That's awesome. Should we look at it?
Oh, yes.
I'll look at it really quick.
I mean, I love everything Rainbow, if you could not tell from this share t-shirt that I just acquired. Ooh.
Let's check it out.
Thank you for this hot tip, Mobile Patty. Oh my God, I love this profile picture.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
Gorgeous. Okay, thank you for this hot tip. We're learning things about VS Code, and you've taught a series on VS Code, Ornella. You're blowing our mind. Thank you so much.
Cool. So what we did in our last session to make this easier to look at was we imported it into a Pandas data frame. So it's actually just in like a beautiful table here. So awesome tip for CSV files.
We love
and then if you want to get all of that into a table, there's a way to do that too. So should we kind of get started? Let me just walk through the prereqs really quick because some folks who are following along might have to do a little bit of setup. So for this session, we're going to need VS Code with the Python extension, which is the thing that lets us have the Python notebooks.
And we have a link for that, right? Isn't it
aka.ms/beepboop VS Code to download VS Code? We'll throw that in the chat. And then you're also going to need an Azure account. If you're a student who's following along, you can get $100 worth of free Azure credits, aka.ms/beepboop Azure. Pretty easy to set up your Azure account there. And then you're also going to need a GitHub account. So kind of a lot of accounts happening here, but that's because we're going to use a bunch of cool new technologies.
And if you get lost at all, you can look at those replay episodes. We have all of our previous setup that we did in there. So you can always go back and check the recaps. But yeah, so far we've done a lot of data cleaning, and then we did some machine learning within our data to fill in that missing data stuff. So what comes after the cleaning of the data? Our data is triple freshly washed from the salad aisle of Whole Foods. Now what do we do with it, Ornella?
Okay, so once we make sure that we have, so if you were here in previous sessions, you already have all this set up and ready to go. But if you weren't, here's where you can make the folder that we're working in, open the folder, and then you're just going to make a Python notebooks file, which is this notebook file that we have here. It's okay if yours doesn't have anything in it. We're gonna put some stuff in it. And if you do have the previous version, we can just keep using that same one. And then we're going to download the data if you don't already have it. So this link, player data final CSV, just download this guy. And if you don't know how to do that, you just go to the raw here and then right-click it and do save as, and then you can just save this to the folder that you've just created. And then we're also going to need the Toon Squad character names. So it's in this file on GitHub, which we're just going to do the same thing with.
Ooh. I'm learning a lot about Looney Tunes canon as well from this.
Let me just find my...
Hello, Daniel. Hello, sir. Welcome. Welcome to Beat Boop. Is this your first Beat Boop, Daniel? Mike says, GitHub Actions and Azure Static Web Apps is my perfect idea of a night in. Excited to see how we use it. We're excited you're here.
Learn with Daniel says, this is the best show name. We agree.
We definitely agree. That is all Ornella. She had the original concept for the name. And I have to say, actually, Daniel, I don't know if you were here. We were just talking about aka.ms/beepboopbit. And before the stream, when I was putting together all the links ahead of time, I felt like I was playing, you're probably too young for this, Daniel, Bop It, Twist It, Pull It. It was like this game that we had back in the 90s, way back in the day. But yeah, Beep Boop Bit, Beep Bop, Beep Boop series.
Yes.
Ooh, we've got an Azure question. Does static web apps work with code being stored in GitLab? Ooh, good question.
That is a good question. So I am not sure. The reason that we use VS Code is because there is an Azure extension built right in where you can access your Azure static web apps like directly from within the code editor, which I find to be really useful, and especially for beginners. So you don't have to like go into a bunch of different places.
I'm texting PJ to ask him. We'll have PJ.
We're going to phone a friend and get back to you.
We're phoning a friend.
It's possible, but I'm not sure. We'll see how it works in VS Code in this stream. Okay, Learn with Daniel says you can, but you have to set up your own CI script.
Okay, that makes sense. Oops, I said someone has a Git log project question.
Way easier with GitHub. Okay, thanks, Learn with Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel.
So yeah, if we're just going to double check that all of our stuff. So this is the CSV file I just downloaded. We'll be using this one, Tune Squad CSV, and then also the player data final CSV. So make sure you have both of those. And then we're going to go into the Python notebook. And I'm just going to start at the bottom here. Make a new cell and make sure that we import pandas, which is a library where we can do a lot of cool ML stuff inside of Python notebooks.
We used this last week too, right?
We did. We've always been using pandas. Like the data frame that we store all the data in is a data structure that pandas lets us use. So we've always been using this. And then we're going to use the read CSV to just make that CSV file that we just looked at into a data frame. So into that table that we can access from inside of our notebook. And now since we have all of our notebook stuff sorted out. So if you can see like the Jupyter server here, my Azure login here. We're now going to check that we have the Azure Static Web Apps extension all set up. So this is what I was talking about with having it right in VS Code. So if you go to the Azure extension, you can see all of your subscriptions here on the left-hand side. That's what we want. That's good. And then the login that you're using here at the bottom. So this is what we want to see. And then we're also going to use this really cool extension called Code Tour, and we'll get into what that means later. But you just want to install it. So if you've never installed an extension before, hit this extensions button and just look for Code Tour.
So what is Code Tour? Is it anything like Star Tours at Disneyland?
It's this really cool thing where it lets you record and play back like a walkthrough of what's happening in VS Code.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So like after you play Mario Kart and it like replays your game afterwards, and then
yeah, so there's an option in this Learn module to I think see it as a Code Tour. So it's really, really useful for beginners because you can see exactly what's happening, and I find it really cool. So this is one of my favorite features.
Fun. Are we going to use that on this module?
Mm-hmm. So if you have that installed, you should see this little Code Tour thing down here. And we'll use that later.
It's exciting.
So
I've heard of Code Tour. I've not played with it yet. So this is exciting stuff, y'all.
Yeah. So now we're gonna, Mike says, found out about Code Tour the other week. Looks awesome for onboarding new people to existing code repos. Yeah, it's really awesome because I mean, like you said, when you have this huge repo and you're just starting to code and you don't know where anything is, you can just have someone like record you a little demo and then you can go back and replay it. I think it's awesome.
That's great. I might have to use that for some of our onboarding stuff we're doing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so we know that in the last module, we had a data frame, and the data frame had Toon Squad players and human players. So what we're going to do is create a data frame of only the Toon Squad players. That's the first thing.
Okay.
And this is what that looks like. So we had 16 Toon Squad players, and we can see them all. And then this table is fully filled out because we did it all last time.
Have we associated the names with it yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I think that's what we're doing in this subsection.
Oh, Code Tour is also open source. That's exciting.
Okay, and we talked about this a little bit last time, but there's basically what we're looking at here is we're analyzing for player efficiency rating, which is the PER column all the way over on the right. And if you watched our last episode, we looked up how you calculate that, and it's literally an equation like this long.
And we were like, not today, math.
So we didn't really get into it, but we know that in the equation, you use all of these other stats. So there's like assists, games played, possessions, defensive rebounds, et cetera, et cetera. This is a list of all of them if you're curious, but we don't need to go into that level of detail. So now we're going to import those names, like you said, and we're going to merge them with the player data. So we can then assign like the name to the person. So let's import that.
And how do we know are these players in order we can assume?
We don't, oh wait, here. So the names data frame contains the ID of the player, which matches the ID in the main data frame. So
Perfect.
That's how we're going to be able to associate them.
I can't wait to find out who's the ballerist Looney Tune character.
Let's see. Okay, this is just the first 5 people. But who has the highest per? Sylvester, 28.44.
No, Foghorn, Leghorn, because he's tall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but this is like just the first 5 in the table, though. So we'll see. Okay. Yes, we have that output. And now we're going to just do a little reorganization so that the name is further to the left, just for readability. Because right now we have it all the way to the right, which we don't really want it that way. This is just a little bit of rearranging.
Ooh, we've got a data question here. Is there a reason possessions is not an integer? I'm not sure how you can have 0.4 of a possession. Maybe it was an attempted possession? I don't know. I'm not a good sports person to ask.
That is a good question. I think that all of these numbers are calculated over like an extended period of time. And so there are weirdly a lot of decimals in all of the stats, even though you can't have like, 0.8 of a possession or some of these other ones too, like 31.5 assists. That's just how they're averaged out. Yeah, Sarah, who wrote the module, says that she thinks it's an average. Okay, cool. So we've rearranged the columns, and now we're going to make a machine learning model based on this data.
Sweet. And what is the reason for only putting the first 5 in?
Oh, so we did all of them, but when you when you use this head method, it just prints the first 5. It's an easy way to check that the transformation you just applied worked without having to print out the whole data frame, because sometimes the data frame is huge.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. And then, okay, so basically the background on what we're doing here is to make decisions about who to put in the game and who to take out of the game. And we're going to use the PER, the player efficiency rating, because it's a per minute measurement of the player's productivity. So that's just like the statistic that we're going to use to govern our decisions. And so we'll need all these stats, and we're just going to simulate a game. It says, when Sarah wrote this, it said the film doesn't come out until summer 2021, but it's out now. I think you can watch it on HBO Max.
Yes.
Full disclosure, we still have not seen it, but we are planning to.
We want to do a viewing party, maybe with Frank.
Yeah, we should stream it.
Frank will have his own camera. I'd be really interested to know his thoughts.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do to kind of simulate the gameplay based on the statistics that we have is to find the standard deviation for each statistic that we have. That's kind of the first step.
Okay.
Mike says, like, select top in SQL. I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. And then, like, if you give it a parameter, you can get more rows, but I think it just defaults to the first 5.
But it's not a sequel to reimagining. That joke never gets old.
It really doesn't, but I think we're the only ones who understand it. Okay, cool. So we're gonna make a list of standard deviations for each of the stats that we want. And then,
what do we mean by standard deviation?
It is a measure of, let me just double check. This is taking me back to my high school stats stuff.
I've definitely heard it before, but it's been a hot sec.
It's basically like how far up, like the spread of the numbers.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I guess how far they deviate from each other, but then you standardize it. So
it's like an average of the distance between the numbers.
Yes. Okay. Seth has a much better answer than me, which is how far away from the mean things are. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have the standard deviation of each of the statistics that we're using to calculate the PER, the performance efficiency rating.
And why do we need that? Like, why do we need standard deviation specifically for this?
So we're gonna, basically what we did here was we also made a series. And a series in Pandas is gonna let us run a simulation of the game. So we're gonna use all of the data that we have, because we don't have like an actual game. We're gonna run a simulation and kind of see what the performance is, and then use that to make decisions about who to put in and who to take out.
This is like last week when we talked about weather data, traffic data, just like prediction modeling sort of. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to use linear regression again, which is what we used last time. And so let's go ahead and import those libraries. And then let's see what this says. So the dependent and independent variables here, X and Y, the X is the input data we use to predict Y, and the Y is the output value that you want the machine learning model to predict. So X is going to represent the columns that we're interested in, which are the columns that are used in the calculation of the PER. And then the Y is the PER. So that's the number that we want to predict using all of the data that we have. Does that make sense?
Yes. So remind me, in our data, we have the PER is itself a column, and then we also have all the data in there that calculates the PER, and we're using that data to predict, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is predict the PER for a simulated game.
Okay. So we wanted
that's
to get
why,
it close-ish to that based on previous stats, kind of.
yeah, exactly. So let's see, let's run this.
So
And
this is a
then-
lot more accurate than, say, like randomly generating some numbers and just kind of being like, like Tweety
Yeah.
Bird got a slam dunk.
Or something like using the average, which is what we did last time. We know there's some cases in which using the average makes sense, but in this case, we want to use something that's more accurate, which we're going to use a linear regression model.
Okay, this makes a lot more sense because when we first started working with the data, I was like, wait a second, if we have the PER in here, why do we have all this additional data? And now I'm like, yes, because we're going to learn from the data, machine learning. Okay.
Yes.
Sarah says, so you can make up numbers for a simulated game by creating fake numbers within a standard deviation for each column except per. Okay,
That
now
makes
I'm
sense.
on track. Cool.
And so, like we did last time, we're going to make a linear regression model. And because we're using scikit-learn, which is another library that we use for machine learning, there's literally an awesome function that you just makes a linear regression for you, and then you fit it to the variables that you've created. So our X and Y variables we just defined from within our table, and it's literally just going to make it.
What? That seems too easy. What the heck?
So this code gives us a machine learning model that we can use to predict the PER based on the input stats. We love to see it.
I mean, love anything that makes my life easier, for sure. I guess, like, here's a question. So when you're creating simulations or like data simulations like this, so you do like one set of like hypothetical data. Do you then learn off of that hypothetical set, like to create more? Or do you always, do you know what I'm saying? Do you always try to learn from the original, like standard deviation from the original data set? Does that make sense? Does that question make sense at all?
I think there's situations where you would want, where you can do both. Like, I think realistically, if you are running this for like a high stakes situation, you want to use as much data as possible.
Right.
That's why, like, for example, it's pretty wild that we can print out this data frame on our computer. Like for a normal, or for a really actually accurate machine learning model, you have so much data that you would never want to print out the data frame. And that's why we do all of our cleansing and prepping and stuff in Python notebooks instead of just like opening it in an Excel file and trying to manually do it. Like there's going to be a ton of data. And so we just want to do it as efficiently as possible.
Mike says, are we using the existing PER column to validate our model accuracy?
That is a good question. I'm not sure yet.
Sarah might be checking out at Target, but she'll let us know, I'm sure, in the chat.
But I'm sure this Learn module will tell us.
Let's see. We'll be streaming for a while more. We will be here till about 5. So come back whenevs.
And you can also always rewatch it afterwards. So we're here for you. And then you can tweet us your questions. Okay, cool. So this is how we're going to test our machine learning model. So we have the model. We're going to use it to predict the PER. And so we're going to use randomized data for the players over 10 iterations. So I'm just reading this out loud and trying to make sense of it. So for each of the 10 iterations, we're going to make an empty data frame that contains only the players' names. For each stat for that player, generate a random number within the standard deviation for that player for that stat. Save that randomly generated number, and then predict the PER for each player based on the new data frame of randomly generated numbers.
I followed that. That was wild.
That makes sense.
Yes. We're basically doing that to each column.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, predicting new PERs.
Yeah, and then the last bit of this is that we're just going to print out the lowest PER player and the highest PER player for each of the 10 iterations. So let's check this out. Let's see what happens. Lola Bunny crushing it. So yeah, this note here says your data will be different from the data shown here because each time we run it, we're using random numbers. So if what's on your VS Code screen looks different than this, that's okay.
Yeah, that's good because because I guess it's technically randomly generated because, well, yeah, because we're giving it, okay, that makes sense. Everyone's going to have different numbers.
Yeah. So this is like, yeah, this is around what yours should look like, but not identical. Okay. So now we're going to make, this is kind of what you were saying earlier, Chloe, we're going to make a new data set that's just a simulated data set.
Data on data on data. Because the more data we have, the
better
accurate
we can simulate the game. Yeah.
This is reminding me of an Imagine Cut project. One of the finalists from this recent competition, they were a team in New Zealand that had simulated cattle. So like different cattle roaming patterns and trends. And I remember just like looking at the data and being like, how did they do this? Like fake cows. Now it's making sense.
Amazing. That's so cool. So we're going to be building that web app, remember, using Azure Static Web Apps and GitHub Actions. And what we're trying to figure out is we're going to decide which player to give a water break to every 12 minutes of a standard 48-minute game. So what we're going to do with this code right here on the screen is create another CSV file that contains randomized player data over 4 iterations. So the start of the game, 12 minutes in, 24 minutes in, 36 minutes in.
We can get that granular. Oh, yeah, because it's minute. Wait, did you mention earlier it was like minute by minute stats that we have?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, so we're just creating the 4 iterations. Look here. This is what it looks like. So we have at minute 0, these are the stats for each player. And then at minute 12, I think
it's a lot of data.
Yeah, I think it's just randomized player data over the 4 iterations. So it's not like, I think it's all random, but like, let's just imagine that this is the simulated game. So
I love when we use data to help Looney Tunes know when to hydrate because hydration is key.
Hydration is key for these not real creatures. Okay, and now we have a new CSV file here that has those game stats in it. Just quickly made it into a CSV.
And those are real ones or are recently created?
The game
ones?
stats ones are the ones we literally just made right above.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, so we're gonna make a web app.
Fun.
Okay.
I love Azure Static Web Apps. So easy.
Yes. So we're gonna just do. We're going to use a template that Sarah has already made. So we're going to go here. And we're just going to fill out the form. What did she say? To name it. Space Jam, a new legacy app.
Sweet. A reimagining.
Oh, I already made one before. For a different project, I'll just make it too. And
how about you do beep boop? No, I'm just kidding.
BB. Make sure the important thing here is to include all branches. So just making a new repository from the template that she's already created for us. We are going to clone it. So you can write from VS Code. This is one of my favorite things. You can just open the command palette, which on a Mac is Shift Command P. And then you can do git clone.
What?
And then I think you can literally just do this. Hold on, if you're signed in.
I learned so many cool shortcuts from you.
Yeah, this is so cool. And then it literally will just populate
What?
all of the repos that you have right here.
What? Wait, what did you press? You did to get there?
Shift Command P opens the command palette, and then you just do git clone, and you'll have like all the git commands there. So what did I name it? Space Jam. A new legacy app.
Space Jam, a new BB.
Yeah, I can't find the BB one though. Hold on.
I saw Babylon and I was like, baby. No.
I can just do this actually. So if you go to code and you copy this, and then you just go to git clone, you can just paste in the URL there, and then we'll clone it for you. Cool.
Can I just say, I'm not surprised that Lola Bunny is like killing it.
I know. Okay, we're just gonna open it in this workspace. Save. Okay, so we have the app. What's going on here? Invalid URI, not a notebook. That's okay. We're gonna figure that out. Okay, let's figure out if we can make a Azure Static Web App.
Cool.
So in here, select your Azure instance, go to plus, make it,
Add the BB.
yeah, add the BB. Let's make it this name. Build preset says to do custom. That's fine. Build path, that's fine. Okay, let's see. It's registering providers.
I was right. Sarah was checking out at Target. I just love that people are joining us from all around the world, including their local Target.
Oh my God.
We're not sponsored by Target, but we love you, Target. Okay. So basically we're making the static web app to like visualize the data. Like, what are we making the web app for?
So in the web app, you'll be able to simulate the game and take people in and out of the game.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
It's very, very cool. Okay, let's see. So,
We'll
okay,
get to hydrate
successfully
them.
made it. Let's open actions in GitHub. Let me bring you over here. Okay. Here's our workflows.
Okay.
So this is what's running right now. This is adding the Azure Static Web Apps workflow.
Okay.
Really, all that's important here is that if you make a change, this is the reason that we use VS Code, Azure Static Web Apps, and GitHub Actions. This is the coolest thing. If you make a change in VS Code and save it, a GitHub action will automatically kick off and make that change to your Azure Static Web App. So you can literally have your app open and watch the change you just made in VS Code happen on your web app. It's so cool.
That's great, especially I imagine when you're working with data, it's probably like very annoying too to have to like go and update your web app.
Totally.
This is great.
So let's just see if our web app is live. So we can see that the workflow ran here. We have a green check mark. Let's go to this and let's just see if we can browse the site. Oh my God.
What? Okay, what? That's cool.
Very cool.
Whoa. Okay, hold on.
We literally just made this app. So we downloaded a template from Sarah's GitHub account.
Uh-huh.
And that template, we spun up the Azure static web app, and then literally we're looking at it right now on the internet.
Whoa. That was very easy. I was expecting it to be like, it's easy, but that was truly very, very easy.
No, this is not pre-recorded. Like,
this is not pre-recorded.
I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So I see we upload our game stats. We can start the game.
Yes.
Oh, I see. So this static web app is basically providing us with the simulation, kind of.
Yes. So, okay, to write the web app, there's two things you can do. And this is an awesome option. If you can't follow along with us on the stream, you can use a code tour to write the JavaScript in VS Code for this module.
Okay.
So it will literally guide you through it. Or we can just do it the way that we've been doing it. So me copying and pasting it into VS Code. Let me just show you what it looks like to use Code Tour if that's something that you want to explore.
I'm excited. So
successfully built and deployed. Cool. So you go to Code Tour here, and literally for each thing, you hit play. Let me just make this bigger real quick.
Very cute.
Like hit play here, and it will literally take you through step by step and show you exactly what you need to do.
So it's almost like writing interactive documentation, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Okay.
Isn't that awesome? So yeah, we're just gonna walk you through it. Well, we only have 8 minutes left. So if you want to do the code tour, this is like super easy to do on your own because it's literally guiding you through every single step.
And that's just built into the module, right?
Yeah. Well, so it's built into VS Code using the Code Tour extension. So once you download that repository from GitHub that we did, which has the Azure Static Web App in it, you'll be able to just go to this Code Tour section and see each section of that.
That is so cool. I want to add Code Tour to all my stuff now.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, okay, cool. So that's Code Tour.
What was our VS Code link again? If we want to share, it was aka.ms/
beepboop VS Code.
VS Code. Because I know we probably have some people watching who are like, I want to make rainbows and go on a tour of code.
Yes. So, yeah, so this is going to be all of the JavaScript code that reads the game stats data in and allows us to show it in the web app.
Sweet.
So I'm just going to copy this in right here. And I accidentally copied 2 of this. And then this guy goes in here. I mean, so Sarah does a really good job of explaining what all of this code is doing in the module. And if you do the code tour, it will actually show up here. Like, see, these are the little code tour icons. So like if you go to that section, cool. It will literally show you, like we just made those variables and then you made, like, it's very cool. It walks you through the whole thing.
Very cool. So you can kind of go through this module in 2 ways. Like you could go through the code tour or you can like follow along.
Exactly. I don't think we're going to have time to do the web app right now.
That's fine.
Should we do it next time?
We have an episode next week. How many more Tuesdays do we have in August?
2 more Tuesdays in August to work on this AI and ML stuff. And then for everyone who's excited, we'll give you a sneak peek of what's to come in September. And the hint is that it has to do with the Power Platform. So if you've always wanted to learn how to make a Power app, join us in September.
We've got the power. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited because we want to make the topic of AI and ML very accessible to everyone. So we really got into the nitty-gritty with everything that we're doing in August. So September is going to be low code, no code.
Yeah.
Okay, it is 4:55, and we really have to show Frank the dog on this stream, or the people will revolt.
We do. Franklin.
Let us know in the chat. How you feeling? Are you like, is your mind blown by spinning up a web app so quickly? It is for me. I'm just like, how did we do that? That was very fast. I'm very excited to play with Code Tour. I'm very excited to play with this rainbow extension. Thank you for sharing that with us, chat. We learn a lot from our chat every time we do this stream. Franklin, hello.
Franklin's wearing a sweater today.
Let me make Franklin the big boy here.
Can you please show everyone your sweater?
Wow, look at the fashion. Oh no. I was like, Data. Wow. Franklin. So
the cutest.
What are your thoughts on creating simulations with Toon Squad data? Are you like feeling comfortable? Thoughts on Code Tour?
What do you think? Anything?
Yeah.
There's some deep sighs happening.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
I feel that, Franklin. I need a nap.
Let us know if you try out the Code Tour thing. He is a good boy. Let us know if you try out the Code Tour. Tweet at us, please, if you need help with your Azure Static Web App. This is like a really awesome segment because you can take what we just showed you and totally do it on your own. But we will go back and start here next time.
And all of this stuff is open sourced, right? So hypothetically, someone could do this module, take the static web app that Sarah made and make their own, I don't know, other, put other data into it.
Yeah, so you're literally copying over the template for the static web app, and you can put in whatever data you want. You can write all of the JavaScript you want to make the app look how you want it. If you don't know JavaScript, this is a really fun way to kind of learn how it works also, because you just get to see your web app pop up immediately after you write that code. It's so satisfying.
Sarah, I'm getting ideas around like some Franklin data, perhaps, like simulating some walk statistics, like treats eaten per day. You want a treat? You can have a treat. Franklin, thoughts on open source before we go? Oh no. Gosh, I keep removing myself on accident. Thank you all. Oh, web app, but make it fashion. Couldn't agree more. That's really the aesthetic at the end of the day of this show.
If that's what you're looking for, we have something very special in the pipeline for you.
This stream has everything. Basketball data, the Toon Squad, a dog in a cable knit sweater. We've got it all. And, Asha, great session. Left behind a bit, but we'll finish it before our next session. Yeah, I mean, and again, if you have any questions, we're available on Twitter. We've been loving all of this. You guys are being so nice to us on Twitter. We so appreciate all the lovely questions and compliments, and the Frank fan club coming out in full force every week.
We'll have a full Franklin highlight reel.
Yes, that's absolutely coming soon.
Pretty soon.
And check out aka.ms/beatboop-replay for all of the previous stream recaps. You can check out all the shenanigans from previous weeks. And like Ornella said, we got renewed for season 2 in September. So we'll be beeping and booping all through the month of September. And Franklin we'll have to get Franklin some merch before then.
He's basking in the sun.
A star is born. Thank you for joining, Jorge. We're just so excited that everybody is coming to learn with us. We had a bunch of people join today, and thanks for joining us either through the reactor or through the raid today or any of that stuff. Should we close?
We're so happy you're here. Hit the song.
Okay, we got to hit the song. I'm so excited to hear the song once again, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.